Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the council meeting of July 20th. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Patricelli,
Present.
Councilwoman Dunn.
Present.
Councilman Doss is absent. Okay. I'll ask everyone to please stand. We'll do the pledge of allegiance. This time. It's changed. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll ask the clerk read the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Okay, I'll second that. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Dunn.
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. Well, first what we'll do is we'll go into reports of officers and committee.
Okay. I know we have a long agenda, so I'm going to be brief on some of those. So if you have any questions on anything outside what I'm going to present on tonight, let me know and I can answer those appropriately. Some challenges we've had with the pool lately. We had a couple of closures for the pool due to operational concerns while we had it. We also closed it down once this year because the pipes in the large section of the pool, which was the tower, one pipe had fractured and we had to replace that one. Hank and I actually got in and re-plumbed everything, and we had it closed for a couple of days while that mended. Same thing happened just about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. In our other valve box, we had a pipe give way. I reached out to Mark Aragona, and I'm trying to get some pipe for that so I could re-plumb that one. Hopefully I can get that done by tomorrow, but we're going to see. The unfortunate thing, which I think I'm going to do, is on the valve box in the little kid spray side is have a shut-off on it. Because what happens is now we have to shut the entire pool house down. We can't use the other side because it's one continuous loop. So my thinking today, and I got to run this by Mark Aragona, if I put a valve shut-off before it gets into the manifold boxes, I can isolate it. So I think we're gonna try that mechanism once I get a chance to talk with him. But
So
anyway,
which would get shut down? Just, I mean, because...
so that, say for example, if something like that does happen again, you have one, it's one continuous loop
Right.
system. Water
Yep.
comes in, okay? If
Yeah.
I can shut it off in the kids spray pool, the small kids spray pool, that manifold,
Yep.
no water goes through all the different features.
Okay.
So I could isolate it,
So the
but
pool would
allow
stay open.
pressure to remain in the other side and operate it that way, so you can have the slide and so on.
Right, okay, but
So-
it wouldn't be the reverse where you wouldn't shut the pool down and just leave the spray pad open?
Correct.
Because then older kids and adults would have to, wouldn't be,
Right.
okay.
But the other night, we did have something due to sanitation reasons. We did leave the spray pool open, but shut the main pool down. And we tried to monitor and maintain the chlorine levels, but we had to surge the chlorine, spiked up to like a 17 percentile rate with it. Allowable rate for someone to swim is between 5 and 7. So we had to shut that down for the remaining 3 hours of the day. So like I said, we've had some challenges over the past couple of weeks, but we're trying to get through them.
So it may not be open tomorrow if it can't get fixed?
It's splash pad. If I can't fix it, and you gotta let 48 hours go through to let that pressure, the glue set on that high glue.
So
It's
this-
it's a higher pressure pipe. It's what they call a Schedule 80. So it's a higher pressure pipe.
Alright.
So with that comes a little bit more time for the glue to set. We probably could do it in 36, but if you're looking at Friday and Saturday, you're at that time frame anyway, and then it'll sit over the weekend. So
Okay.
I'm
So
going to
it's
do my
not gonna
best
be
to try
open.
to get, at this rate, I don't believe it will be for Friday or Saturday. So
Before you, and you don't like the next question.
I don't.
We'll send an email out.
Yes, I was going to say.
Pretty good, Dave.
Saturday and Saturday.
I knew that was going to happen anyway, so I didn't entertain that as the question, so.
I
but we
think
will
it's
let
supposed to
people
rain
know.
tomorrow, so that.
Well, speaking of which, we have 1,471 pool passes to date. Overall, last year, we had 2,060. So we're a little bit behind. That might be because other municipalities have brought their pools online this year. We don't know. But it seems like we still have a good size.
Well, it was novelty last year, so I think a lot of people came and didn't make this a level, maybe level it out.
Yeah.
I actually was talking to a family yesterday, 4 kids, and the mother was there, and just talking to her, saying how you like it, the kids seem to enjoy it, they love the splash pad and nothing like this. I go, where are you from? And she says, I'm from Latham. And I go, it's nice, okay, you like it? She goes, honestly, she goes, this is the best. She goes, I could not afford the colony rates, and she goes, just makes it so much affordable for us.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think it's great. You know, I mean, it was a nice, you know, I mean, they seemed like they were having a good time, and I see nothing wrong with it. I thought it was a great thing to have, and you know, it's I'm proud of the city to be able to have something of that nature to be able to offer that way.
Yeah.
And I'm totally, have no problems with, non-residents as long as it's a fair and equitable way.
Yeah.
The pool certainly was not at full capacity, so it's not like we were, had to
I think
turn
those
people
days
away.
are gone. I think those days of full capacity in the pool are gone. I don't think you'll see,
Yeah.
you know.
Probably.
Well, I know like other cities, they
Yeah.
limit the number of non-residents and they
Yeah.
do this, and maybe they have to if it's a bigger city and they don't have the numbers. I don't know what their
Yeah.
issues are, but I know we don't have that issue. And, it was nice to have the family there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to one from Cooksocket the other day too. So they're coming from around the region.
that's
For sure.
fine with me.
So,
Maybe they might want to live here and work here.
okay, we'll continue on. The renovations at City Hall continue. We're waiting on if you come up the second story, there's that sunburst window that's right to the right-hand side of the stairway. We're waiting on that to come in, but it looks like we'll probably have that in late August, and we'll commence with that last window and get onto the emergency doors in the rear of the building, along with the courtroom doors on the Broadway side. The portico roof will be rubberized, so that'll stop leaking by fall as well. And we're bringing phase 1 of the air conditioning units online on Monday, so I'll be here at 5 o'clock in the morning as we charge that line. That'll be Monday the 24th, because we'll be taking breakers apart and putting breakers back in. So we'll be monitoring that Monday, but the second floor will go online with the air conditioning as of Monday. And then each secondary floor after that will follow.
How long?
We're supposed to be within a 2-week period to do that. I know Dave's floor, we have duct work in for air filtration, but we don't have the ductile in yet for the splits, the fans and stuff like that.
Is the court also going?
Court's got their stuff in the ceilings ready to go, so they should be within that next week after us. on the
Okay,
second.
but not Monday, okay. I was
No,
just
they
curious.
won't be Monday because they already have air conditioning units.
Yep.
They complained, they shut down based on their contract. We went and bought 3 or 4
Or-
air conditioners for them to operate once we got the okay from court. So they have their air conditioning units all set, and they should be okay down there.
Good, I'm glad they're happy.
Renovations on the church continue. I know we've been having some problems with rain events, but the railings were recently installed. They're being painted now. All we have to do is sod the outside and the front, and then we start inside. All the contracts have been signed and executed now. First off will be once these guys pull out of here, we get on to the outside work, which would be the roof. And then after that, as the roof is started, all our interior work will be going on over there.
You don't know how I don't want to say this in one way that's good for us and bad for somebody else and whatever, but when I went by, I saw the fire trucks right by the church and going, well, please don't tell me that's the
Yeah.
fire
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see a change order for that because there will be a fire alarm system that was missed during our review of the work that needed to be done. It wasn't in it wasn't in the initial scope of work, but after talking with Dominic, we said we probably should do fire alarm system in there, which is, that's one of the change orders tonight.
What's when they do the sod work, what's the protocol for watering it?
We'll have a tripod out there watering it, and more than likely Dave Wheatley, he doesn't know it yet, but Dave Wheatley and I will be going over there, shutting on the water, turning off the water if we can't get DPW. But we're going to be the ones responsible for watering it too.
So to look at the rates for that.
I reviewed your job description, and it's actually written right in your job description.
Water the lawn.
I think you
Like,
would
is there-
talk a little bit more.
Is there a outlet out there?
There's
A hose
not a
spigot?
functioning outlet, because we have to run it, water right now, we have to run all the way through. It was terminated down in the basement probably years ago. So there will be an outlet when we're done. Land bank has been successful in the city of Waterville. We have Papa's going through renovation now. Gino's closed on the property to a new property owner, and hope to have European cuisine as a restaurant. That's their 1,000th sale for the land bank in the Albany County. So we were talking about it at the board meeting the other night. They'd like to get the board members over to a ribbon cutting for their 1,000th sale in the city of, or in the Albany County. We'll have McCoy and a few of the other electeds here, yourselves included.
And that's for Gino's?
They were the 1,000 closing.
All right, so this may be a crazy question. Is there any kind of I know they probably just bought it, any kind of a target date for when the owner would be able to open it up?
Well, he came in yesterday to thank me for all the help to try to get the thing sold. I asked him, what's his next steps? And he said he wants to get in there and start cleaning it, because it's, over this past 4 applicants that have come, more damage has happened inside.
Okay.
So he wants to do the roof, do a fix on the roof, and then start to slowly get it. It's not going to happen overnight. I would dare say that's probably going to be at least 6 months, 8 months, a year.
Okay. I mean, but is there a time frame? Because at one point we talked about somebody buying property and they had 5 years.
They had a
in
hold,
which
yeah,
to-
they had a hold, they can't sell it or do anything for 5 years. That's the clawback provision in the land bank.
Right,
So
so
they
you
have-
choose to just let it sit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but they do have to get moving on it.
And I don't want to prolong this anymore, but I have to just say this. I saw an article in the newspaper where the Albany County Land Bank got money from the federal government and is putting $1 million into a house in Albany, in the city of Albany.
Yeah, we
They're going
talked
to
about that.
rehab it to the tune of $1 million.
Yeah,
When it's done, there's a big red X on it now. Apparently there's a big red X on the one next door to that. When it's done, they plan to sell it for $175,000.
yeah, I'll let you read the minutes. They talked a little bit about that. It's not as it's being depicted.
Okay.
They had conversations on the $1 million. They talked about $1 million for one house. It's not $1 million going into it. It's $1 million, I guess, was the entire program. The way
Okay.
they talked about it, so it was kind of misleading in the way it was projected. in
All right, well,
the-
that's
Yeah.
good that it was misleading, because I was
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
think
little
it is.
bit outraged.
It's on. So, but no, I think there was a little, we talked a little bit about that
Okay.
the other night at the board meeting, so.
Yeah, I'd like to say, I think that would be interesting, because I
Yeah.
was kind of like floored when I saw it.
Paul Murphy, Dominic Britta, and I are working on several grants for the next grant round. One being a CDBG grant program, which we're looking at to be primarily for the dome. We're looking, the dome facility, we got that report of the deficiencies within, from CT Mail, it was a 2002 property maintenance report. We're looking through the Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation has grant funding to address park improvements. So we're looking at trying to apply for improvements to the dome. But that would be the upcoming grant year. I think, Dave, we're trying to do that for fall of this year, if we can get that in under the CDBG program for it. So Office of Parks and Recreation, I think the grant will cycle sometime by the end of July, early August. We're going to wait to see when that NOFA comes out, and then we'll seek funding for that project. And it'll be based primarily on the deficiency report that we saw from Albany County when they did it under the CDBG program. Mayor, I know you and I have been talking about paving schedules and things like that. We have yet to get our paving schedule for Newcastle. We've been on the phone with them. I now have a meeting with them August 7th to go after or to get a finalized paving schedule. I can tell you this, we've let our paving out. We know the streets that are currently done. We've discussed them several times here at this council and have them in the minutes. I can go over them again if you choose. I know we are adding more paving into the schedule. It won't come out of CHIPS this year, but it'll come out of actually the CSO program. We got them to accept, instead of straight line where the infrastructure might have been repaired, we now got them going curb to curb all the way through. So with that, we're now adding 8th Avenue from 10th Street to 15th Street, which is going to take it right out to Route 155. We're doing 12th Street from 5th Avenue to 8th Avenue. We're doing 15th Street from 8th Avenue to 9th Avenue. We're doing 16th Street from Avenue A to the intersection, and 18th Street Avenue A intersection. And then 5th Avenue from 10th to 12th, and 6th Avenue, Broadway to 4th. All this is going to be funded through the CSO program. We believe we can get everything done. Included in this is also ADA repair with it, as our regular paving. So just what I mentioned here today is a substantial increase to paving throughout the municipality, inclusive of what we are going to be paying for out of CHIPS. So with what I learned yesterday during that CSO meeting, I'll put this together, I'll send you a report so you have all the streets, so you can, post that and identify it as you can. But that's going to be the largest paving that this city probably will ever have seen.
That's huge.
It is huge.
And that's all, we're in mid-July, that's all on target to be finished?
I would have liked to have seen the regular paving already started.
Well, yeah.
Because of what's happening at Newcastle, internal changes, I think we're pushed back a little bit. They have till October to finish, based on the contract. So we might be pushed back a little bit, but we're going to be on them to get them done. All the ADA curving based on what we have here has been completed thus far, so that's already installed. Now the rest of it is going to be paving. So.
I don't know if I should say this, are they still mad at us about 8th Avenue and Fort Schuyler? Weren't they supposed to do that? And they said, was it Newcastle?
Newcastle did 8th Avenue.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they did. Newcastle did
Okay.
8th Avenue. They did the work there. So hopefully
I
they're
thought
not
that's-
mad at us.
What was the company? We had a problem with paying a company or, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was a problem paying.
It was just, it was a
figure out the
misunderstanding of how
mechanism.
between Colony and us,
How it was-
how it was gonna be. They rightly so sometimes don't trust municipalities.
Lastly, I guess I'll say this as well.
First Street, Joe? First Street?
First Street, that project's already been let. That project's already been awarded. And the start of that.
So it all marked.
They look like they're trying to get, let me see, it looks like July 24th, they're targeting a start on that. So Davis.
Just on the water line.
The what?
The water line.
This is the water line.
Right.
Yeah, And then after that, paving is going to be in the September timeframe by the town of Colleen. Dave is supposed to give us a shutdown list. That's what he was going for today, to mark everything. Once he does that and he writes it all down, you and I will get an email where all the closures are going to be, and then we'll post that as well.
Right.
So, lastly, I know there were emails around today about the sweeper. I did get a call back from Verizon today that we're going to install they gave us an installation date of July 26th as to the snow pass item that is needed. And I know there was a comment as to we were trying to do monthly cleanups. We did have one scheduled. We were going to do one, then vacations kind of came into play. We got one scheduled for August, the first week in August, where we're going to try to post everything on Wednesday and do a cleaning on Thursday, and then try to do that from there. So,
I see a lot, I mean, I know we do a lot of this stuff by hand with the postings. Once we get ourselves situated, let's say act together or something like that, I see a lot of places, a lot of cities where they actually have the signs up. The first Friday of every month is that, and then that's it, it's done, so it's total, it's posted all the time as far as on their,
you're saying a regular...
Yeah, regular, sign, wherever other signs are placed, they have signs saying that this is, the regular schedule. Like, I think over City of Troy's or something.
They're like, no parking the first Friday because it's going to be the street
sweeper,
cleaner.
yeah, something of that nature. So, I mean, I know we do a lot of that kind of stuff by hand, but because it's never been a really routine thing, but if we get into that routine, and again, I think the schedule that we talked about before is what we're supposed to have in place, right, Joe? Like Port Schuyler, Zone 1, that's on a Tuesday. Zone 2 is actually on a Monday, they swap it, and then it goes to 3 and 4.
Yeah, exactly, but I like the idea of the sign.
But that was, I know I've seen those in other places.
Yeah.
On a routine basis. But once we put it up, we gotta follow. Okay. Anything else?
No, we go right to old business.
Old business.
First order of old business is public hearing on local law number 3, and this is a continuation of the June 15, 2023 public hearing.
Okay. And is that the noise ordinance?
That's the noise
All right.
ordinance.
So we have a public hearing on the noise ordinance, local law number 3. I'll open up the hearing now. If anyone would like to step up, I'm sure Lois is here for that. Go ahead, Lois.
Do you want me to get up there and say my name and address and all that stuff?
Yes, would you mind if you can do it that way there? I think that it'll project a little bit easier.
This is just, these are the noise ordinances from the four corners.
Yeah, you gave me these.
My name is Lois Dundrum. I live at 600 3rd Ave, Waterloo. I don't have much to say. I've already told you everything I can say about local law 3. My hope is that you're going to vote no on it. From my impression when I was here at the last council meeting where we had a public hearing, was that the city lawyer stated that if the public hearing was left open that particular meeting, that meant that you could modify, you could have more time for public hearing, you could modify it, you could scrap it and start over. I think those were his
Right.
words.
Correct.
And my hope was that the scrap it and start over was going to be the course that you would take. I feel that local law 3 is not a good replacement for the noise ordinance we have. We have a set actually of noise ordinances, one governing the live music entertainment, one a noise ordinance as such. And I just feel there are better ways to address this issue. And basically my plea with you is that you know, take a step back, vote no on this ordinance because I don't feel it's a good one. I feel it puts not only me and my neighbors in jeopardy, but really the whole city in terms of its specifications.
Can you be more specific, Lois? I mean, because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for us to, when you're talking, you're saying it's not something that works,
Well,
or, I don't know what exactly is it that works.
Okay, well, actually, I would have brought my statement that I made last time with me if I'd known that you would need that. Because last time I was here, I went through it item by item. I showed you a comparison
Some of them,
between the
yes.
noise ordinance and local law 3. So basically, a few things that I can remember off of that. One is that 80 decibels is the, since there was a problem with the original, like sort of draft that you put out between residential and non-residential neighborhoods. You know, we have mixed-use neighborhoods here. We don't have non-residential as such. So the solution seemed to be, instead of having residential versus non-residential decibels, you ended up making 80 decibels the noise cutoff, for like maximum noise cutoff for the whole city. No matter, just between those hours that you've specified, let's say between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock on a weekday and 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock on a weekend.
And what is it now?
We don't have decibels now.
But how would you measure the issue then?
Well, the thing is, okay, right now, well, even in local law 3, there's nothing specifying what kind of instrument it needs to be used to measure decibels, okay?
It's
There's
a
really
decibel
no,
reader.
huh?
It's a decibel reader, correct?
Well, there is, it depends, you know, there's different qualities of these things.
Well, I get that part. I'm looking, and again,
All
I'm
right.
trying to,
So,
because this, I think at the last time, I think we were kind of like, help me if you want to, but I think it's,
So here, I mean, here's my confusion with your position on it, honestly, is while the language has changed on kind of the general sort of what's loud and what's not loud sort of stuff, what this does is add the decibel levels. It doesn't make the decibel levels the only measure of whether something is too loud or not. It makes the decibel level measurement automatic violation, but people are still in violation of the noise ordinance if they do these other things that are spelled out. So the level of volume of the noise, the consideration of the time of the day, the duration of the noise, whether the noise is recurrent, intermittent, or constant, all the other things that the previous version contained. So the point was to add something that everyone could agree on would be, no matter what, that is too loud. Because the problem with prosecuting the old noise ordinance is it's subjective. What's too loud for you might not be too loud for me, and most importantly, might not be too loud for the judge. So the whole point of adding the decibels was to make it no longer subjective, but objective.
Understood.
and I think that's the main thing that I thought we were trying to work into, to be able to say, I don't care what you say as far as if it's too loud, you think it's too loud, or if it violates that number, then that's the number, and then we're all set. Now, the meter that we have is the next step. That's something else that you do. It's not going to be a phone. It's not going to be an app on the phone or something like that. It's going to actually be a tool that the police will have that they will have to order and secure. But so it'll be that. You can still use yours. You're not going to go out and buy a sophisticated instrument like we may need to buy. But you could use that. But I think what we were trying to achieve is be able to say, because I know I've been in court many, many times, and it's like, it's dirty. Well, what's dirty? What their constitute is that, and it gets into that argument and that kind of thing. So we were trying to make it so that it's there. When you objected to it last time, you wanted that removed, and I'm going, how could we? We're right back to where we started when you said you didn't like it.
Okay. In some ways, I feel like you need to be right back where we started because the original, no, let me just, excuse me, but just give me a minute,
All right.
please, Mayor. The thing is, the noise ordinance we have now is a very strong noise ordinance. Number one, it says no outside amplified music, is what it says, for advertisement purposes, for entertainment, for whatever, okay? It just says it's not allowed. All right, that's strong, okay? The thing is, there is also an opportunity for a business to get a permit to be able to have outside amplified music. There's no reason, I don't see why the live musical entertainment ordinance, which I've forgotten the number, I don't have it in front of me because I thought, you know, you might have these papers that I gave you last time, but that live musical entertainment is what governs live musical entertainment. That could be modified to have decibels put in it. If permits are granted, blah, 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 right? It basically what it does is it puts in the decibel levels for the businesses. It doesn't put in decibel levels for the whole city. Right now, any business that is allowed to have, the way this local law 3 reads to me, they can have outside entertainment anytime they want. I mean, I've been asking if a permit's been required. I haven't really gotten an answer to that. But if anybody...
I believe permits were required, but never obtained.
Well, with local law 3, you mean they haven't been getting the permits,
I believe
even though they've been required?
I believe that's the case.
All right, well, because I
Is that
just,
true?
you know, I mean, I guess,
I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I believe
all
that's
right. Well, the thing is, you know, right now, the way local law 3 reads, anywhere in the city, anybody in the city can have 80 decibels of music going on at any time during those hours, which are pretty extensive. And what I pointed out last time is that you could have 3 neighbors playing 3 different levels of music, 3 different types of music on 3 sides of your yard at 80 decibels each, as things stand now, potentially. I mean, you could have a car sitting out in front of your house playing 80 decibels of music during those hours.
But they
There's
can
nothing
do that
to
now,
stop
right?
it. No, they can't do that now. It's outside amplified noise. They cannot do it now. Not according to our current noise ordinance, in my reading of it. And so the thing is, you know, I feel like there are better ways of putting the decibels in. If you require somebody to have a permit, first of all, if businesses have not been getting permits and permits are required, right there, I think that just shows you the attitude that these businesses have toward doing their business and toward their neighbors. They're not respectful at all. And they're not respectful of the city administration if they're not getting permits that are required. So I don't understand, you know, why anyone would want to bend over backwards to allow these businesses to continue when they're not even playing by the rules to start with.
I don't think it is. I honestly don't feel that we're trying to let the businesses do what they want to. I don't think we'd be here today if that was the case.
Okay.
So I really feel that we're doing everything we possibly can. We also have another business that, you know, we talked about right down here on Broadway, that has a stand. And they have an outside, and, you know, quite frankly, that might be an issue as well.
All right, and another...
You have something?
But I just wanted to straighten things out because we're not changed, so there's an article in the code currently, it's section 94, that addresses the outside music issue that I think is your concern.
Right.
That's not being changed.
I understand. I think it should be changed. I'm saying if you want to modify something, modify that. Keep the noise ordinance the way it is. The noise ordinance is a strong ordinance. It does, last time I showed you how weak local law 3 is. You talk about subjective language. Local law 3 is so much more subjective than our noise ordinance is.
It just seems like you're spending a lot of time talking about a section that we're in an article that we're not amending. And yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Perhaps once this is changed, if it's changed, then the next step has to be the outside entertainment. But I don't know how it could not be.
I'll tell you why that's coming up. The reason why that's coming up is because we've had a meeting at the mayor's office. When I came here asking, in last September I came here to ask why isn't our noise ordinance being enforced. A neighbor of mine gave me that noise ordinance, she found it, I read it, I said, yeah, why are we having this problem? I came here to ask you why isn't our noise ordinance being enforced? And what's happened now is that the noise ordinance is being changed so that it's nowhere near as effective as the one we had.
That's,
Yeah, I'm
That's not-
sorry, but Charles, read it carefully.
but
It's-
it's not been the intent, Louis. The
All right,
intent
I know
has
it's- yeah.
been, the intent, please, because I know I've worked very hard with you on trying to create something that will be fair and equitable both to the businesses and to you. And I know we've worked on this quite a bit, and I know, as far as I think, we were trying to get a specific number that we'd be able to have so that we can actually say, that's a violation.
I'm
If that's a
sorry.
violation, then that's what I was going for.
All right, well, I'm sorry, I really feel like you, when you say you worked really hard with me, I mean, basically, we've had, what, you stopped in with regard to campaigning, and you said, oh yeah, they're having live music inside Patrick's Pub. We had no conversation about outside noise. I mean, you know, I don't understand what you mean by working hard with me. I've been here at the public hearings. Those are the only conversations that we've really had, in my opinion.
All right.
Okay? And yeah, so that's probably gonna cause this law to pass right now. You know, the thing is,
Lois, I don't have a problem with leaving the laws as it is. If the law stays as it is, then I'm fine with it.
I
But
hope-
leave it as it is.
I hope that you do. I mean, that's what I'm hoping.
Then we'll leave it as it
And then
is.
leave it
But I
as it
guess-
is and start, you
but
know,
I guess-
if you're going to put decibels in, you can do it a different way, that's what I'm
Well-
saying.
Yeah.
But require them to get permits. I mean, here's just one more thing, please, and that is that this is a police bar, all right?
It's a what?
It's a police
It's
bar.
run by a retired policeman, okay? Listen, the way this local law 3 reads to me, it says everything is falling on the shoulders of the police for enforcement, et cetera. Now granted, the police have to decide whether or not a bar is out of step or not, but I would appreciate it so much if this council and this administration and this general manager stayed in the whole loop of deciding whether or not someone is in violation and should continue to receive permits for outside amplified noise. Because otherwise, there's no protection for us, none. Because we've lived on, you know, we have, I'll say us, I'm including my neighbors, you know, we've lived next to this bar for a long time, and we see what happens. We see how little enforcement there is. And I'm sorry, you know, I respect the police tremendously, but when it
Well,
comes to...
not really. I mean, if you're feeling that they're being subjected.
All right, well, with regard to this particular issue, no, I don't have any sort of, I've seen cops come out of that bar laughing, you know, and nothing changing. And I just feel I really feel that you guys need to stay involved, that's all. That's my...
So currently, right now, the new law does not require permits. The old law does.
So, we're not, this local law does not in any way, shape, or form address the permit issue. That is a completely different chapter of the code. All this is a general noise ordinance.
Okay. So would the permit still be required under the law?
The old permit language is still effective. So whatever that old permit language required yesterday, if you pass this law, would be required tomorrow.
Well, I don't see where that is. If you take out the old noise ordinance, I don't see where the permit requirement is. I would like you to show me that.
The permit,
Because I don't see it.
the outside entertainment section it's a completely different article of the
I
code.
read it.
Okay,
I
well,
don't believe that there's anything in there about obtaining a permit for outside amplified.
Well, if we
noise.
we're basing it upon our attorney's statement.
So chapter 95 is called live musical entertainment. 94, and 94-5 talks about what permits are required.
Does it say for outside amplified noise?
I'd have to check that.
Well,
it's
I'm
not
going to
jumping
say,
out.
I really don't,
Well,
I
what
don't
if-
think so.
What would a permit require for a band?
Yeah, so right now, it's
It doesn't
more,
matter if it's inside or
it's
outside.
more applicable. It's any music at all. I would say inside or outside.
Right,
It
it's no
doesn't
bearing on
specifically
whether or not.
limit it to outside.
So if it's
from what I can
outside or
see.
inside, they have to get a permit.
No, I don't, I'm sorry, but my understanding was that inside they can have, that because of that live musical entertainment law, they can have inside bands playing. The thing is, the noise is not supposed to go beyond the edges of the building, basically. That was my understanding reading that law. Another aspect, just to say it, is that in our original noise ordinance, it talks about how anyone, the owner of the building, the rentee of the building, in other words, the runner of the business who's renting, everybody associated with that building who has a stake in that building is responsible for what happens at that building. We don't have that in local law 3. And we know now that there's an LLC that owns that building. That LLC is not local, as far as I know. It's got an address down in Brooklyn. Who is going to be responsible for what happens? If for some reason the people who are renting are not responsible, what is the recourse of action?
I didn't know what was being asked that question. It's any person, and any corporation or LLC is a person under the law.
I'm sorry, did you read the second? I don't know. I didn't see in local law.
It shall be
3.
unlawful for any person to make or unreasonable noise, ... And then under the law, a corporation or LLC is considered a person. It's not in here, but that's general law.
Are they making the noise?
So they would be held responsible.
All right, I guess to me, our noise ordinance, our current noise ordinance makes it extremely clear. I don't know, I feel like, there are other aspects, I wish you'd read what I said last time, I laid it all out. That's all I can do. I feel that this law, I mean, there's also, clerical error in that law that needs to be cleaned up before you pass it. I pointed that out. I don't know, there's different things in it. I've done everything I can. I feel very disappointed if this law goes through. I don't think it was quality work to start with. Sorry, I don't think it was. And I did my homework. I feel like, I did the best I could. And so, I live there, you don't.
Is there any other questions about it? The lowest? No?
All right, thanks.
So you can close the public
We'll
hearing.
close the public hearing of number 3, and we'll go into public hearing number 4. Public hearing number 4 is for
That is the bus.
the bus signs and the bus information. All right, we'll open up the public hearing, seeing that nobody is present, we'll close the public hearing for number 4. Okay. New business.
The first order of new business is, again, a public hearing, and this is a public hearing and informational meeting regarding the City of Waterloo's 2023 CDBG grant program.
I gave you the sheets, which we're going to go over.
The purpose of this hearing is to provide information and receive questions from the public of Waterloo's Community Development Program and to discuss submitting community development block grant applications for the 2023 program year. Some of the grants that we can apply for, there's $20 million in grant funding this year, and these programs include public facilities, infrastructure grants, planning grants, and housing rehab programs. We can submit for the public facilities. The maximum grant this year is up to $1 million, which is up from $350,000, and this is facilities for special needs population, seniors, etc. Excuse me. The CDBG infrastructure grant projects, the maximum grant is $1 million. This is for drinking water, clean water, and public work projects. And this must benefit low and moderate income population. Excuse me. Grants must be submitted in the following areas, or may be submitted. CDBG planning grants, maximum grants are $50,000. These must be a community needs assessment grant, an engineering study, housing study grant, etc. And this again must benefit low and moderate income population. Grants may be submitted year-round. The CFA is once a year in July. The applications are due. The awards are named in December. We may submit year-round grants for economic development and small business assistance. The economic development grants, the minimum grant is economic development minimum grant is $100,000. Maximum is $750,000. For each $15,000 in grant funding they receive, 1 full-time or 2 part-time equivalent positions must be created. This will benefit business and manufacturing expansion, must result in hiring of low-income persons, and again, you can request that grant any time of the year. The small business assistance grants are between $25,000 and $100,000. Benefits business expansion. You must hire low-income persons, and this is for every $25,000 you receive in funding, you must hire at least 1 full-time or 2 part-time equivalent. This is a 100% grant program, and this can be requested at any point in time during the year. All grants are competitive statewide. The City of Watervliet competes against 200 other communities for funding. Successful applications are administered and managed by the City of Watervliet General Manager and the Planning Department. The timetable estimate for the grant cycle is the public hearing this evening. July 28th, the applications are due. December 2023 are the award announcements, and then January and February of 2024, the funding will become available if successful. The City Watervliet Outreach Program urges civic groups, stakeholders, business, and the public to identify economic development, infrastructure, and planning needs or other community development activities in our town. Proposals are developed into projects that are potential candidates for grant applications during this cycle or future cycles. Economic development grant applications are encouraged, applicants are encouraged to contact the city year-round with questions on any economic development grant opportunities. The City of Watervliet follows Executive Order Number 8, which establishes a team to explore ways to expand participation of minority and women-owned businesses in state contracts. The City of Watervliet is committed to meeting both the governor's priorities and its obligations under Executive Law Article 15-A, which promotes the meaningful participation of MWBEs in state contracting. The state has implemented standardized MWBE contract and RFP language to address this problem, and MWBE goals will be established on a contract-by-contract basis. Are there any questions?
So right now what we're looking at is the dome.
That is one of the programs we're looking at.
So right now we have the list. What is the list? Because we've got to have it in by the 28th.
The list of
Projects.
the projects. So you'll see a couple of resolutions tonight for seeker, which are part of the project.
Right.
We don't need a seeker for the dome project, but you'll see a couple of the ones going down. The ADA compliance at City Hall is one, and also the lead line, or the water study that we're looking to do, the transmission line. So those are the 3 that we're going to be applying for.
And what would be the work of the dome?
Just some of the issues we saw out of that report, electrical issues, roof, insulation, heating, doing a whole series of work, trying to go there, make it a little bit more functional, I guess, if you will. We looked at trying to do, CDBG raised their cap, which is amazing, going from 300,000 to $1 million. But with that also came some pretty stringent guidelines. Like we were looking to get some money to help do the pool house, taking off the roof and doing the bathrooms and getting the new filtration system for the pool system. But because we charge for the pool, we don't have a way of monitoring or anything else as the LMI requirement. So that immediately kicked us out. So although they have a higher level of funding, requirements are getting a little bit more strict.
Because we charge people to get in?
Yes, and the fact that we opened it up to any municipality or any resident anywhere, we'd actually have to check. If somebody came from Coxsackie or from Latham, we'd have to see if they're low to moderate income people that are using our pool. So we cannot get any funding.
Well, let's do the math on it. We get an income of 15,000 for the pool.
Yeah, we were about 13 thus far, yeah, right.
And if we apply for the money for the pool house, to have that done, you're talking 600,000, 800,000.
A little bit more, yeah.
Divide that by the 13,000, then we the pool free.
That's the decision you have to make. If you're not going to charge for the pool,
Well, that's what I'm saying, is if you divide out the number of years that you could recoup. In other words, if we decide now to do, we still got to do the roof.
yeah.
So if we're talking 800 grand to do the roof, divide that out by the 13,000 that we get for the 10 cents a day
Yeah,
pool. Eliminate it,
eliminate the fee.
eliminate the fee, and you've got, you get 600, you're getting $800,000 for it, if you got that. I'm not doing the math.
50-ish years,
How many?
50-ish.
So will you have to worry about that?
At least 27 of them.
26 as of
There you go. But there you go. If you decided that, I mean, you're talking nickels and dimes and pennies if you're, for $5 you're getting out of the pool. And I'm just talking about use it, apply for it, and don't take leave it as a, I mean, certainly I'm thinking we would,
Can you stop
Is there a look back
charge?
period?
Right, can you
Well,
stop charging once you get the grant? Or do you have to, going into the application, not be charging people?
Yeah,
I think you have to go with the application.
not charging. So right now, it doesn't make any sense to even apply.
Are you sure?
Paul had a lengthy
Let's
conversation.
talk to them.
Yeah,
And we've talked about that quite a bit.
You talk about not charging.
They won't even look at it unless you're not charging.
Right, but
So if you were going to go next year, and you don't charge them next year, then you're fine.
You gotta make the decision before you put
But you
an
have to make the
application in.
decision before you put the application, before the pool opens up. Because next year it'll be mid-July, mid to late July, because it's part of the CFA process.
And if we don't charge and don't get the,
And we don't get the
Money.
grant, then we lose the money.
then
I mean, what was it today, Joe? I think it was like 13. Even though we
13,000,
sold 1,400 passes, it's only about 13,000.
13,900 we've got in revenue thus far. Either way, we can't apply for it this year. So I think it's next year we have to look to make determinations that we want to do something that has to do with the pool, we can't charge for it.
what are we going to wait for next year, or are we doing it this year?
Dominic and I are on a course to have the designs completed mid-August, put it out to bid end of August, award something here in September, and immediately start work this year.
And it would matter.
That's what I'm saying. Some of the restrictions on the thing are now, we couldn't do it even if it wouldn't matter, because awards are going to be coming in December, and we wouldn't know. We'll be into the project already.
And not to belabor it, I'm just splitting hairs. If you stop charging, or as of today, before we put the application in,
Do we have to refund everybody?
I don't think
what?
we
Are
have
we
to.
refunding everybody?
But I don't know if you would qualify with that.
Well, I think I bring it up for the point that at some point in time, in the near future, you're gonna need to do some significant work on that pool. You're starting to see a wall that's starting to bow and the gunite is starting to fail there. You gotta peel back that liner, you gotta do some significant work. How old is the pool? I think it exceeds, it exceeds me, maybe, right?
Well, no, they redid the pool.
No, I'm saying the age of that pool, because we didn't do anything with the infrastructure, as I'm being told. That pool, we lowered it, the level,
Right.
or raised the level, I should say. It used to be an 8-foot pool.
Right.
Now it's
Yeah.
only 6. But any of the piping or the infrastructure is still pretty much the one that we had from the original. So
Steve?
at some point, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the other issue you have is that you only have 8 days to get the application.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can get the environmental development days.
Right, yeah. But we only learned this because at some point in time, like I said, we're gonna have to do significant work to that pool, and if we stop charging people next year, it's gonna put us in line for any future work that we can do with that. But we have to make a conscious effort to make that decision. So,
If we could make that decision prior to completion of budget, I would appreciate that.
Well, like, we get that. Okay.
And that's all still part of the money where we would be competing with 200, all the municipalities and
Right,
stuff
right,
like that.
yeah. Yeah, it's a gamble, and again, it doesn't cover the cost, and it's a gamble.
So, if we decide not to charge early enough for next year, don't get the money, can we go back the next year and say, oh, that was a freebie, and go back to charging?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, as long as somebody else has answered all the questions on Facebook, that's a great thing.
Right, yes, yeah.
Once you don't charge, it's gonna be
That's
hard to not charge, to charge.
Automatically understood, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else freely explaining all that. Okay, all right, good.
close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing. I think we got, well, that was on the pool, or the
CPG.
CDBG, okay. Right,
The
go ahead.
next order of business is local law number 3 for 2023. This is a local law pursuant to amending chapter 197 of the Code of the City of Waterbury.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on local law number 3 for 2023.
Okay, I'll second it. So, on the discussion, what do you want to do?
I think you go through all this work. You put in, I guess, one of my takeaways from it is we put in a decimal, which now makes it something that if Brian's arguing the point and you've got something to say, well, we have
Right.
something here that says you're at 90, then you got a violation that's supported, so.
And I totally agree. The biggest problem I see is that the person who has requested this and spearheaded this is really the one who's basically objecting to it and feeling that it's not suitable to solve the problem that we have. And nobody else has given us any issue about it. I'm not quite sure whether or not we even want to pursue it.
So, the alternative would be that, from what I'm hearing is, she doesn't have a problem with the noise ordinance. She doesn't like the outside music section of the code, which is a completely different
I
section
get
of the
it.
code.
Mhm.
And I think part of the confusion has been associated with that. Certainly, it is easier to prosecute noise violations when you have an objective number. But what I'm really hearing from her, I think, is that it doesn't matter. She believes that the ordinance itself is never going to be enforced. enforced. The old wasn't enforced, and therefore the new isn't going to be enforced. She wasn't saying that, I think she was avoiding saying that, but I think that's really where she was coming from. She would just prefer that the old noise ordinance be enforced. We can do that,
Okay.
but
And
it's
again,
hard to, once we get to court, we'll find out what the problems are with the old noise ordinance.
and I get that, that's the problem. That's the problem, that's the problem I have with it. And again, I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm saying this as a sense of like, how do we handle it? A policeman will go in there on on an evening, because if that's the only one you're gonna get. He's gonna say to cut it down, they cut it down. Is it 70, 80, is it 90? I don't know. And is it loud or is it not loud? And that's what we were trying to kind of come up with. Nope, you're at 92, you're in violation. Get your own machine and test it out or something.
I think the member of the public is more concerned with the outside music. And in the end, efficiency she sees with that process.
But how do we address the officer or something, the person making that judgment? How do we handle that? Because again, it becomes subjective. I swear, I know the time I'm on my deck, I could hear the music as clear as day coming from Arsenal City. I got in my car and I went down there. I could hardly hear it. And they didn't change a bit. They didn't know I was coming. They didn't do anything else. They didn't change. It was just the way it carried. And again, it was the carrying of it. It wasn't, they didn't do anything different. And when I went there, I mean, it was really a lot less than I was hearing it. And I know that's a case of somebody else who was complaining about Arsenal City at that point. And I just went down and checked it.
I can tell you, I can sit on my front porch and hear the Arsenal play taps. It's the way it carries. So.
And again, I'd like to be able to solve the problem. I just don't know. I don't know what one being has to do. I mean, we had the same issue. We talked about the JJ cycle. He's got a ban now. Nobody's complained about it. Well, I guess I don't hear it. That doesn't mean that it's not loud, but he's got a ban. So there is a requirement for, right now, there is a requirement for permits. They're not being asked. And again, how do you do that?
So, again, the options in my view are leave the noise ordinance as it is. The main person I think the council is trying to address is not happy with what the council has come up with. So that's option number one. Number two is to take a closer look at the outside entertainment issue that she raised. And perhaps there are some modifications that can be made to that to address her concerns if the council is interested. Or a combination of the two. And maybe looking at the noise ordinance while also keeping the content of the outside entertainment ordinance in our mind, maybe more of a holistic approach.
Right.
We'll look at modifying 94 about the permit requirement for substance.
Yeah, and then I think her real point is the code says people have to get permits to have music outside, and no one's getting permits. I think that's ultimately what she's saying.
Right.
Although she's saying she's not sure that you need one for outside, but you might need one for inside, which is of course backwards, I think. I'm not saying she's reading it wrong. If that's what it says, then it's written backwards. So we could tighten that up as well.
Yeah, that's me, but I'm thinking, I'd say leave it as is.
I agree with that.
I mean, leave 90, or
The noise ordinance.
the way that noise ordinance where it is. And I'm completely, thought we were headed in the right direction. And with all the best intentions. That's how I felt it was being addressed. Is it getting too dark?
I was just gonna say, I think it's getting a little dark in here. Dave is gonna need the spotlight over here.
No, it's all right, Brian.
That's right.
Just turn on the phone.
You can move to the sun, Dave, over there for a few minutes until.
Now I can't even get in my phone, it's so dark.
Am I not turning them on?
Yes, yes.
This one's over here, Brian. That's
All right.
right there.
After dark.
Okay.
You're good?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, it is getting a little bit. Thank you, Mark. All right. Are you
So I
okay?
think somebody
I
needs,
guess I'm good with that.
I think then, notwithstanding the fact that there's a pending motion,
Right.
someone needs to make a motion to, oh my goodness, I can't remember the word now.
Rescind.
Table?
Table local law number 3.
But don't we have to remove the motion?
It does, I guess, if it's tabled.
Well, if you're tabling it, so a motion to
Can I
rescind the previous
withdraw
motion and
my-
to table local law number 3. So that's your motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was-
Rescind the prior
Oh, okay.
motion
All right.
and to table local law number 3.
And
Okay.
what would that give us? A next meeting date, or, because that would require a whole new change of the
So if there's going to be change, depending upon what the council wants to do, if there's going to be changes to this version of local law number 3, then we have to have another public hearing and then another vote on it, or a vote on it. I would suggest that I'll take a look at the outside entertainment section, make some suggestions to the council, and perhaps that, along with either the current version of the noise ordinance or a new version, will complete the whole picture.
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to rescind the motion that I made to move on local law number 3 for 2023.
I'll second. Call the roll.
Did I say that right? Okay.
Does she have to request a table?
No.
And that's going to be the next one.
That'll be
All
the
right,
next.
okay. Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor? Oh,
Yes.
okay, yes, I'm in favor.
Mayor Patricia?
In favor.
Okay.
All right, now we'll make a motion to table.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now I would like to make a motion to table local law number 3 for 2023.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay?
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patricia?
In favor. Sorry.
I don't think we've done anything.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Next is local law number 4 for 2023. This is a local law pursuant to New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law 1174-A, creating a school bus stop armed demonstration program.
I will make a motion that we move on local law number 4 for 2023.
And I'll second it. We've already gone over this.
Yep.
Is there any other questions?
No, I have no questions. I think it's great.
We call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn?
In favor?
Mayor Patricia?
In favor.
Resolution number 47 for 2023 is a resolution amending the annual budget for fiscal year 2022.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 47 for 2023.
I'll second it.
So I apologize, council, I did not print out the resolution information directly. But I did print out 2023's budget comparison, which is
Oh, this one here. Okay.
Yes. I'm just gonna hit real high notes and kind of run through this. I believe the council does have the information. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
We're amending 20.
Yeah, this one's for 2022.
We are,
Okay.
yes. The information is 22, but I used the paperwork from budget 23, but it is 22 information. Just hit 23. So big differences. Director of Finance, other costs. We had originally budgeted around 23,000, 24,000. You see a cost of 41,000 at the end of the year. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we paid for 3 years worth of audit in 2022, 2019, 2020, and 2021, because 19 and 20 were combined, and they kind of took place December, January of 22. And just the way the billing worked and progress billings and whatnot, it fell mostly into 22. So that's that. You're going to see civil service, 1430. The large costs of that, the large increase there is due to purchase of civil service software. We are going to bill the school and housing for a portion of that.
No, housing comes under ours. It's the school that we build, and we did build them early part of the cycle.
Okay.
We have not received it yet. I have not seen it come in, but
I haven't seen it, and Jenny
Yeah.
hasn't asked me about it. Honestly, I haven't gone a deep dive into 2023's books, having just come back. So it could be there, but I feel like Jenny would have asked me about it while I was out. She did not, so. Reimbursable.
I think we worked that out. Right, John?
we did.
We
We
did
worked
look at
everything
it.
out, and they got it for their budget cycle
Yep.
this year.
Reimbursable expenses is gas. You're going to see the gas line being increased pretty much in every place that gas is: police, fire, highway, sanitation. It's just
Gasoline.
it was gas. 16, 20, 40, 31 is the senior center. That large increase is kind of due to some issues with stands as well as the locks here in the senior center. 1680 central data, that was our server cost. Police, it doesn't total the wages in the 1001, so sorry. Police is 3120. The 1001 is their total normal wage, normal salary. It's $2,726,000. You see that we spent 1.9 million. And some of that is going to be in special wages, which is the 1005. Which is anybody who was out on workers' comp, that type of thing, that was still on payroll, so we had to move that there. You're going to see also in the police line the 2,000. You're going to have an increase in equipment. We purchased the Jeep for the domestic violence person, detective. Again, gas is up in this line. Vehicle maintenance was also up in this line, which is why we purchased 2 vehicles this year. The other really large increase you're going to see is the Humane Society 3510. We had the animal cruelty case that cost us $127,000 for the year.
That's crazy. That's a lot of money.
No, that's all right, good. Look at another grant from the state.
Moving on to the fire department, just kind of, again, grouping their salaries together was 1.93 million. They spent 1.917. You can see overtime is just astronomical, frankly. There were a number of injuries, workers' comp issues, individuals out for several months, in addition to us still continuing to pay for a good portion of the year for a firefighter who is not working. There was also a number of fires last year, that sort of thing. The 2,000 line is a
In
purchase.
22 or 23?
22. There's also a number of fires this year.
Yeah, because we're talking 22.
Yes.
I don't know if there were that many fires in 22, but
There were big fires. And purchase of equipment, you're going to see the ambulance sitting there. Again, gas being another factor for the fire department. Vehicle maintenance was large in the fire department. We had issues with the ambulances, which you're seeing in the vehicle maintenance as well as in the operations budget because we had to rent an ambulance from Colony. So that particular ambulance rental costs the city $20,000. And there's also probably some costs in that line that could be sitting in equipment maintenance, which is not there. Moving down to housing and code, you're going to see the 4,000 line pretty much doubled. That's kind of due to the vacant property bills, like mowing charges and the attorneys that we are paying to kind of go after those folks. Hannah,
Yeah, Osterman and Hannah.
Osterman and Hannah,
Yes.
but that's offsetting charges.
We haven't seen it yet, but it will be. Moving on to highway. Again, gas is one of those big charges. We budgeted 8,400, we spent 15. Vehicle maintenance, again, in this particular line, you're also going to see 5112.2. That increase is chips. That's all chips, all reimbursable. Street lighting also went up about 25,000. I was kind of looking at the bills earlier, and the kilowatt hours seems to be pretty consistent. It's just the cost of paying for them that increased substantially.
Well, they don't charge by, they don't change the kilowatt hours.
Some of it they do, like the 19 street lights, which we pay for.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's a separate bill, but what they do is they charge by the bulb that's inside. So if there's 3,000 bulbs, I don't know how many we got, 600 lights or something, I forget what they are. But if some of them are 250 watts, they charge a certain watt. They get based on 8 hours a day, can't, the hours that they would be lit. They have it all calculated. They don't have meters on every light bulb.
right, right. Moving on to playground equipment, here you see a large increase due to the donations that we received. Again, is an offsetting cost. We had budgeted 43,000, but with the generous donations from the Waterville Charitable Foundation, we were able to purchase several of those playgrounds for the different parks in the city. So we ended up spending 218,000. Going down to refuse, again, gas, we budgeted 24.8, we spent 41. And then lastly, on the last page is the transfers to other funds. You're going to see 699,000 transferred to capital projects, which included the splash pad and putting funds into municipal buildings.
So,
And that amends 2022.
It does, and that's because I was out. It should have been done a while ago.
overall then, what's the effect?
At the end of the day, we still have a surplus, pretty significant surplus. I'm sorry, I don't have that right in front of me.
That's trivial. I mean, really, that's the bottom line. All these other numbers I can't do in my head, but that's going to take care of the offsetting charges and some of the other stuff. Is it,
Several hundred thousand surplus, I just.
several hundred?
Yes.
We were at 1.2. Was our surplus over?
When you say were, when
What's
specifically?
Are you asking about fund balance?
fund
or-
balance?
Oh, no,
That's different.
fund balance is probably close to 2 million, if not more than that.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant 22 revenue, 22 expenses. We added
700,000?
several
Several
hundred
hundred thousand.
thousand to
Okay.
balance.
After all that's said and done, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
2022.
Correct.
Motion. Was there a motion?
There is a motion. Any other questions?
No, I don't have any
And
questions.
if you go through all of this and you do have questions, obviously I am here.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, at least it clears up some of that, and it's still coming out. All right, we have a motion made and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Dunn,
Favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor.
Resolution number 48 for 2023 is a resolution amending the annual budget for fiscal year 2023.
Do I talk now? I
Is
can
that,
talk now.
Oh, somebody's got to make a motion.
okay, I must have the wrong agenda. I've got resolution number 49. Oh, no, I'm
48.
sorry, I'm ahead of myself. I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 48 for 2023.
Okay, I'll second it.
So this is significantly smaller. I am requesting 3 items be changed to increase expenses. One, in the general fund for PD training.
What is that?
For PD police department training. We're sending new recruit to school, which is about $5,000. It wasn't expected to send as many recruits as we are this year. So that's $5,000, and looks like we spent about an additional $3,000 on the civil service software in 2023. So I'm asking for that to be increased. And lastly, in the water department, Dave Dressel is looking to purchase a trailer, so I am requesting the increase in his equipment budget of $12,000.
Dave likes to spend money.
He does a good job at balancing his budget so he can
Dave
spend
actually
money.
he usually waits until the
Yeah.
end of the year to spend money, but
We took the large, the 16-footer, I think it was, we took that somewhere, and we realized the axle is rusted. It's an old, it's probably been there for 20-plus years. There's 2 trailers. We're going to get rid of one. We're going to see about getting this one fixed, but there's the need when we carry the backhoe and those type of things around. So we found a trailer that wasn't really that expensive comparatively when we looked around. But we're able to get that trailer now. An open bay, it's a two axle system to help carry the larger equipment.
Good.
This will be housed in the building once.
But yes,
that's-
yep.
Anything else?
I
No,
don't have
I'm good.
questions.
All right. Call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn,
In favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor.
Resolution number 49 for 2023 is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding for the Law Enforcement Assisted Division, or Diversion, LEAD program, and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute the same.
I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 49 for 2023.
Okay, I'll second it.
So this LEAD program, which is Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, currently exists in the city of Albany since 2016. This memorandum will have the city of Waterville, city of Cohoes work in partnership with the Albany County District Attorney and the Albany County Executive's Office to manage that program or bring that program into our municipalities. This MOU, if executed, will allow for such.
We've been working on this for quite a while. And this is in cooperation with Cohoes.
City of Cohoes, Waterville Police Department, Albany County District Attorney, Albany County Executive Offices.
Is Green Island part of this?
No, there's no mention of Green Island in this at all. There would have been in the resolution. I don't see Green Island at all here.
All right.
They're not in the MOU. I don't know if there were discussions, but they're not mentioned.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Yes.
I did.
I second. Okay, if there's nothing further, call the roll.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor Patrichelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 50 for 2023 is a resolution for seeker review pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act related to repair of a public facility, ADA compliance project, removal of architectural barriers at the City Hall building.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 50 for 2023.
I'll second.
This is the seeker action which is needed in order for us to apply for the ADA compliance projects for City Hall, which will be inclusive of the lift that we're looking at and any ADA requirements such as doorknobs, power buttons to open up a door, access to maybe one of the front offices where we have a lower counter. So we're doing a holistic approach towards ADA compliance for City Hall, and it's a type 2 action for seeker.
Can we talk about putting an elevator in?
That's what it is, yes.
Oh, the elevator?
Yeah, so the
Oh, okay.
elevator is part of this grant.
Oh,
because
when
again,
you, is that the lift? You mentioned the lift, is that what
Yeah,
it is?
well,
Oh,
the
okay.
lift we're doing over there, this is going to be a little bit different. We had a study done 2019, 2018. Rita Architecture has been updating that. I think back then they said the lift or the elevator was somewhere about $300,000 to do back then. Dominic has given us first blush numbers around $700,000 now for the lift. Now that they've raised the capacity from the $300,000 application to $1 million, we thought it would be smart to go after that money under this because you can do a public or a facility this time, which is a municipality. So,
I heard the word lift and I didn't
yeah.
But the
put two and two together. I know, because
Yeah,
I
sorry
don't,
about that.
it's like a bridge.
Okay.
Okay,
Call the roll, please.
good.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Excuse me, Mayor Patrichelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 51 for 2023 is a resolution authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patrichelli to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Capital District Transportation Council.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 51 for 2023.
I'll second.
So this is an MOU that we're working with the Capital District Transportation Council, formerly the Transportation Committee. They changed their name to make a little bit more of a distinction. Anyway, this goes back to 2021 when we all were going after the bipartisan infrastructure money, separate and distinct. The money was for safe streets and roads for all, is the way is the information or the entitlement of this grant. City of Albany, City of Saratoga Springs, City of Troy, Waterville, and the Village of Green Island, all working independently at that time. The feds went to Capital District Transportation Committee, or Council, I should say, and said, because of each municipality and our makeup and how we all function together, it would make sense to have one application. We would score higher, and we have a better chance of being funded. So this MOU puts the Capital District Transportation Council as lead, working with with specifically Albany, Saratoga, Troy, Waterloo, Green Island. So that's what this MOU does for us. And if it goes forward, Waterville Lead agrees, and our function or our funding level that we need to provide, which will be in the 2024 budget, is $5,000. Other municipalities are higher based on population. So that's the only thing that helps us in.
That's good. Any other questions?
Nope.
Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Dunn,
Favor?
excuse me, Mayor Patricek.
In favor?
Resolution number 52 for 2023 is a resolution determining a CDBG planning grant study of the water supply primary transmission main to be a seeker type 2 action.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 52 for the year 2023.
I'll second it.
So it pretty much says it right there. It is a transmission line study. Our transmission line from the reservoir to the city of Waterville plant, originally installed in 1918. This study will allow us to detect leaks, deficiencies, or repairs that are needed through water scoping that they need to get to see what's going on. We're looking to get engineering evaluation in that study for that 15 or 17 mile transmission line. Again, it is a type 2 action, and it will be also part of the submission for the CPG grant in this funding round.
Are you sure we want to go?
Yeah, I know, because once you know,
Yeah.
then we gotta go.
Call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn,
In favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor?
Resolution number 53 for 2023 is a resolution supporting local government efficiency proposal to assess the feasibility of an intermunicipal code enforcement grant application.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 53 for 2023.
I'll second it.
So Mayor, I know you called me the other day about this with the question that Troy had. We have a different resolution than Troy will have. They're working on theirs tonight to adopt it. One of the things I took out of this resolution was the fact that theirs alluded to the fact that they would blend code enforcement departments in the way they had it written. There was no intent that that was ever happening. This resolution came out of our bi-monthly roundtable meetings. We're meeting with Albany, Troy, Village of Green Island, City of Albany. We're getting a lot of good information out of it. This here helps us write a study under the consolidated funding application where each municipality, if scored, we can get up to $12,500 per municipality, which is about a $60,000 grant, which we can then study the proper ways to share services amongst the municipalities. So that's what this is for here.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn,
Favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor?
Now, Brian, can they vote on the ordinances, or they just read it to record?
We got one more resolution before that.
54.
Oh, you know what? 54 got cut off on this copy that I sent. Do you have it on yours? Nope. You have 54 on yours?
I don't. I think I printed the new agenda, but it's not on
It's
there.
not on the new one either.
Does it have to be done? It's going to have to wait for August. This is actually for the change order for the fire alarm system. Would we be willing to come back for a special meeting so I can get it onto an agenda?
I think you could make, it's only a resolution, it's not a local law ordinance. I think you could make a motion to amend the agenda to include resolution number 54 for 2023. Have your discussion, make your motion, and then vote on it.
If you're willing, that's up to you.
Or you can wait.
I mean, this, yeah, I have no problem. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I will, yes, I will. I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda to include resolution number 54 for 2023.
which is a resolution amending the contract and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents for the project under NYS CDBG Grant 1210 PF54-20. Dave, you can have a copy of this, if you don't have one already. Okay.
Well, that was part of the package. you
Yes, I said it last night, yeah, the other night.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay,
So
so,
call the roll on the motion to amend the agenda.
Councilwoman Dunn,
In favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor. Now we can read the resolution.
yes.
Okay.
Right, so,
I don't have it.
okay, so so next on the agenda then is resolution number 54 for 2023, which is a resolution amending the contract and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents for the project under New York's NYS CDBG Grant 1210 PF54-20.
Okay, and I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 54 for 2023.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I'll also read another part of the whereases here. We back in, I don't have the date on here, but Resolution 45 for 2023 awarded the contract to MJG Construction. They're an LLC, they're out of 61 Skylark Drive in Ballston Spot. They're the ones who were the lowest bidder for the work to be done at the Dutch Reformed Church, which is inclusive of upgrading the electric, adding the bathroom, handicap bathroom, ADA bathroom, adding a lift in there to bring people from the walkway that we did or the ramp that we did into the church setting. This year, as we went through the project and we started looking at the code, it triggers based on assemblage, it triggers alarm systems and those which weren't in the original application that went to the CDBG grant under Russ Reeves when the time came. But because assemblage was a code trigger, we came back and had the applicant or the contractor give us an idea for a fire alarm system. That's what this is. Change order 1 is for a fire alarm system to be installed under this contract, and that's for $24,000. So that's what this is here. And all the specs were drawn and everything from Red Up Architecture.
Okay. Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn,
In favor?
Mayor Patricek.
In favor.
Now my question.
So there are 3 ordinances on the agenda. However, because we do not have every member of the council here today, Section 28 of the city charter says that no ordinance shall be passed by the council on the same day on which it is introduced, except by unanimous consent, which in my view means all 3 members of the council. So we can introduce ordinance number 2, 3, and 4, and I can just do that very quickly, but there would be no vote on them today. So ordinance number 2 for 2023 is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet amending section 260-30-C sign locations of the City of Watervliet. And this is an ordinance that you should have received, which would have a handicap parking permit or sign posted at 1511 4th Avenue. We're removing that one, excuse me. Yeah, so that one is being removed from 1511 4th Avenue. And that's ordinance number 2. Ordinance number 3, also being introduced this evening, is an ordinance amending again 260-30-C in sign locations of the Code of the City of Watervliet, and we are adding.
I think we're taking away 2460
right, that was right,
right
first
away.
one,
That's the
right,
one
yeah,
that
yeah,
the first
it says right.
contact would be that.
Yes. So, excuse me, so for number 2, we're adding 1511 4th Avenue. For number 3, we are removing 2416 Broadway from the schedule of handicap signs. And then Again, ordinance number 4 for introduction this evening is an ordinance amending 260-46 of the Code of the City of Waterville involving stop signs. And the proposal in the ordinance is to put stop signs on the north and south corners of 4th Avenue and 7th Street and 4th Avenue and 5th Street.
And I'll be looking at northeast for the next time we bring this. We'll solidify that a little better.
Right,
Yeah.
so most of the provisions in the code regarding stop signs have a more detailed identification of which corner. So we will identify that and make sure that it's clear when the ordinance is passed, hopefully next meeting.
Okay.
So usually like northeast corner or southwest corner or something like that.
Okay, so in order for these ordinances to pass, we all have to be here?
Well,
No.
it's in the-
Okay.
Tonight,
Tonight,
We
they had
can do it tonight, okay.
We'd have to all be here
Okay.
if they were introduced the first time.
All right.
If we have a next meeting and there's only 2 of us, they can still be passed.
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So the person who is getting a handicap sign can't get it until August? Okay,
correct.
all right.
So he'll just have to, he'll have to know.
Well, I'll send an email to the one where it's being taken away, because I had mentioned I thought they'd come down tomorrow, but the one adding a handicap sign, that's kind of a tough one, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I think there was some question on taking that one away too, right, David? You got an email or something about it, you were telling me this morning?
Somebody emailed you and said that their mother, was it 4th Avenue?
I don't know, I thought
The
it was
one
the
that
one that
the
was
stop,
on tonight's.
the handicap sign was turned, and you asked Hank to do it, but she said that her mother still lived there, and then they got a letter from, the landlord got a letter from the city saying that the sign was gonna be removed.
Right.
But her mother still lives there though, right?
Yeah, we have to confirm that.
We have, yeah, I'm guessing somehow.
I
or
reached
another.
out to Sergeant Harper today, he wasn't in, so I'll try back tomorrow.
Speaking of that, how are we going to proceed from here on out with handicap signs?
Well, I think we have to test back to if someone at that location has a handicap sticker. And then see if that person or that handicap sticker expires, then we have to try to look to do an immediate removal. You're shaking your head, no, why is that?
Well, it's all there, but there's no expiration on it. The only time we have an expiration is if they move for the signs, not for the sticker. We're not talking stickers, we're talking signs.
That's what I'm saying, but if the person moves, as you say, but if the person also is not using the sticker anymore, you'd want to remove the sign, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
We
we
wanna
have
keep
no way
it
of
there.
knowing.
We-
If they move, I have no way of knowing that they're not.
or deceased. Once they have a
We issue it
permit,
for 5 years, according to New York State law,
Okay.
and there's no follow through, as far as I know, through the law. I mean, if they
For the
move.
permit
they're
or the sign, because I'm confused what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think
we're-
it's the
well, we're
sign.
talking about the signs, the sign,
on the ground.
the physical signs that are
Right.
there. We had, just a few weeks ago or a month ago, we had a sign that the person was deceased now for 3 or 4 years. They no longer, his property was even sold, and they've been, they've been having a problem with parking there for a long time. Because, they could, actually nobody else could park there unless they had a handicap sticker.
So if the property.
And this is probably about the 3rd or 4th one that we've come up with.
So 2 options come to mind. One is when we add it to the list that we have expiration dates, so it would expire on a certain date. Or, and Dave isn't going to want to hear this, that people be required once a year or whatever it might be to submit something that suggests that they still need it.
Right.
And in the absence of that, the
An
council would
affidavit.
remove it. Right.
An affidavit of some sort, and this is
It's just
what
a
I,
paperwork trail trying to,
and this is what I suggested the last time. And I suggested that before, and it just didn't go anywhere. Now we find out we have, again, the same situation. And I had made another suggestion that this be a database, you know, of it that, you know, just like it's almost a animal, you know, dog license, you know, or something like this, the person gets, fill out this form, you know, and send the form. And I suggested Amy, you know, being at the police department and she worked through Park, or somebody like him or somebody like that, and say, I've got 72 and I get 7, I only got 30 or 16 back. The rest of them come down.
Is that about how many we have? Do we know? Like,
No, I have no idea.
We got more than
So
that.
Herbert runs that program, or he's the one that they go.
But do we have a record
I
of,
was just
we have a
curious as to
record
how many
because
there
it's
are.
in
It's in the code.
It's in the code.
It's in the schedule in the code.
We have a code.
There's a fair number.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and again, a lot of them could be, you know, not using, you know, not there anymore.
I don't know if he keeps it in the book or if he has it in the database on the computer. I'm not sure how he tracks that, but it is in the code as well.
It's kind of like an honor system thing. I mean, I have a friend whose mother had handicap signs, and her mother was moved to a facility. So she said, well, I got to call and get those taken out. I was like, great. So, but a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, so, I mean, if the way the city's gonna move forward is some sort of tracking that requires the property owner, that would not require necessarily any action by the council. It just would, you know, putting the program in place.
Right?
So if you do an affidavit, they have,
Yeah, we do it, but
Say what they,
if they do an affidavit, do you have to have that notarized or anything like that, or just?
I would think you'd want to.
by definition, an affidavit is notarized.
I would, yeah. I would think that there would be somebody that's saying, hey, but I still need this sign.
But, I mean, the person notarizing is just notarizing the signature.
But they're saying- but they're saying the
The
statement is
introduction
full.
to that is, I'm swearing that this is true. And then you have to set out facts, or should,
Right.
Because right now you need a doctor's note, correct, through Harbor's process, you need a doctor's note, and it has to be.
There's certain criteria, there's different criteria
Yeah.
for the signs in front of the house. You have
Yeah.
to be assisted, you can't walk
That's-
more
yeah.
than a certain number of feet. I'm not sure exactly what that.
so they should have to sign off, arguably should have to sign off on whatever gets them the sign to begin with, that they still have those conditions.
Right. All we're doing is just making sure that the signs are up to date.
Is there language out there as to what that letter might look like?
Brian will give it to you.
Since you throw more on my plate.
No, I agree, it's fair play,
You
Dave.
fill my plate, so I'm gonna fill yours?
Well, no, it's not on your plate because we're gonna have the PD do it. If they handle the,
Oh,
And that's my
Right, so
suggestion.
find the letter yourself.
Well, that's my suggestion. I'm just looking
Get a
at,
little
I'm just looking at the ideas of how we can, you know, do it. And I'm sure the first year will be a little bit more difficult if you come up with you gotta go through the ordinances and type them all out, name and address, and that's it. After that is your,
Dave, if
I'm sure.
Harbor has like a checklist of things that he's looking for when we're first putting these up, if you can get that, I will put the rest of it together. I just don't know what,
the criteria.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Are we moving on to appropriations in accounting? You have some more?
As far as I'm concerned, sure.
Yeah.
Just note for the council, this additional thing is for 2023. It shows, the first column is 2022's numbers, then the,
Wait a minute, this first column is 2022,
correct,
so I should leave that.
then anticipated budget
For 2022,
for 23.
23.
Then the current revenue expense is through June 30th. What was in our system as of June 30th. Then year-to-date is through today.
This is the, okay, year to date.
Then the balance excess deficit is just that. The difference between our budget and year-to-date. And then
Budget,
percentage
which is-
thereof.
budget 2-year to me,
Correct. So
which
if
is
you're
only
just
seven,
looking
which
at
is only
this,
7 months. We're talking 7 months.
6 months and 20 days.
Okay.
And if you're looking at it and you're wondering which is which again, look at sales tax.
That didn't come in.
We received that today, 1,160,000, I think, something to that effect. I will note it was less than last year by 100,000, by roughly $100,000, so.
For this quarter.
For the second quarter. But you had, I believe, asked for a report.
Yeah, I asked for a 6-month report, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the 2022 surplus was $415,991, bringing our fund balance to $2.161 million.
What was that, 2.?
161 in the general fund.
This is something we're gonna have to go over.
Yeah, but we can certainly go over it.
Yeah, not now.
Preferably not. I have a hungry kid at home.
I'm a thirsty guy. Told you that at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but good, this is good. So, bottom line again, to make the, looking at this, we're okay shape for the 6 months?
Again, well, actually, truthfully, I was,
Truthfully, we'd be good.
I would, yes, I'm always truthful, if nothing else. I haven't spent all that much time looking at 2023 yet. Still trying to catch up, filing things and getting back into where I am, making sure my bank recs are done. And I haven't looked at the expense versus revenues yet.
Okay.
Just being truthful.
But, okay, being, let's say, close to being truthful, or,
If you had to guess,
I'm not gonna say yes or no because I haven't really looked at it. And I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Sounds good to me, does that matter?
There's a possibility that we may or may not be doing well.
excellent, Dave. All right,
Looks like our expenditures are roughly half of where they should be, so, yeah,
Which
it
is-
seems
which is
Seems
where
normal.
we should be.
Seems normal.
All right. You leave it?
No? All we had left was public comment.
Okay.
I did have a few things on my list, but I really don't, I mean, this is quite the meeting.
Yeah. Can we do public comment first as their agenda? and then
Yes,
do your-
I mean,
yeah,
but can we do something, can we sit down at another time
Whatever.
and
What-
do
sure.
that? I would rather,
Yeah, because there's quite a few things, and I think I know you had a few.
well, some of them were answered and stuff, but I just have some questions and stuff, and I just don't want to, I mean.
Can we deal with Chris?
When he gets back.
When he gets back, can we schedule a special meeting and just kind of sit down and go over it?
Do we need a special meeting?
Well,
it's
I think
gonna be
if all
an open
three
meeting
of
as
us-
well, if all three of us are doing operations.
Or whatever.
by definition, I guess it's a special meeting if it's not at your regular meeting and the 3 of you or the 2 of you are going to be here, so it has to be open to the public.
Right.
So, yeah, you can schedule it whenever you want.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be good if we, because we don't want to stay,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, a few things, but if we can go over that, that would be good. So we'll get, maybe the 3 of us can get together for a date, sometime.
How far in advance do we have to notify the public that there is a,
Well, you're supposed to provide as much notice as possible. I think there is a section in the charter that sets it out, but in an emergency, you can do it like on a moment's notice. This would not be an emergency, so I would say 48 hours would,
oh,
at least
okay,
48
all
hours.
right, yeah, that's, okay.
Because I won't be back until next Wednesday, anyway.
Right, and Joe's leaving after that.
For a month.
We'll have it without
Everybody
Dennis
lands and his takes off.
and surprise him when he gets back. How about that?
All right. Well, we did good, anyway. All right, then what we'll do, we'll move into we'll set up the time and
Yeah.
go over some of this other stuff, and that'll be easier. All right, we'll move into the public comment period.
At this time, the mayor and the council have authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, we ask you to please step forward and state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to address the council.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
good, how are you? I don't know if I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I stopped at, I didn't hear quite, my name,
Your name.
Joanne Moore.
Joanne, what's your address? I'm sorry.
1513 4th Ave, Waterloo.
Thank you.
I just stopped the other day at the police station. I was there several times. I heard you earlier talk about the handicap parking. I'm waiting for that from my dad. Every paperwork has been in. They've been to the house. I brought him to the police station where they looked at him, examined him, questioned him, everything, and he said that you guys were voting on it tonight. I was just here because that's what I thought you guys were doing. So
1511
unless
or-
I'm wrong.
Yeah, I got 1511 on here is what we were provided.
Yes, I live at 1513.
Oh, okay.
He lives at 1511.
He
Okay.
owns, he owns both houses.
Yes.
Okay, so we were doing 1511 tonight.
Oh, okay.
We were getting ready to pass that ordinance.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, not having a quorum, which would have been, or not a quorum.
No, so there's 3 people on the council. In order to
All
pass
three.
something like that on the first night it's introduced, all 3 would have to be here and vote in favor.
Okay.
We only have 2, so,
Of course.
yeah,
So we're
sorry.
moving into August.
Well, actually, if we do have a special meeting, we can actually put that on the special
Okay, we
meeting.
can do that.
Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
could do
great.
that.
So we can actually take care of that.
Okay.
Probably within.
I haven't heard anything, and I hate going
Yeah, I get
there,
it.
and all they do is get the runaround. The police station says go to City Hall says go to police station, and that's what I did 3
We
times
get, we get to send
yesterday.
one around ourselves.
Yeah, I know.
We're doing it close.
So I'm just trying
But you-
before
you are
I do the
being
next
fair.
step, which is, thank you, which is, getting permits to
Right.
do a ramp. So I want to do the steps one at a time and get my,
Right.
T's
So-
crossed, my I's
How
dotted.
about we do this? So you don't have to wait until 99%, 100% is going to be passed.
Okay,
We already got the recommendation to approve.
okay,
Why don't we run your permit review parallel with the upcoming meeting, so when it is approved, we will have, because you got to meet setbacks and everything else along the way. You
right,
gotta have
that's
the
not
money.
100% yet, unfortunately. My parents just got scammed not so long ago. They got a telephone call saying my son was in jail, and yeah, they wiped out their police account, and let me just tell you, or not their police account, their bank account. So I'm going to be honest with you, that's probably going to be next year unless, and my husband, I know Barb knows my husband, Mike Moore, he's been diagnosed with a lot of health issues, and he's only at 1 lung right now, so he's been missing a lot of work. So I was going to pay for it, but with my husband being out, I'm going to guarantee that it's probably not going to be till next year.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, they got scammed hard. It was so upsetting. But I'm telling you right now, that police officer, Milano, I might be saying it wrong,
Yeah.
Phil.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
He was so nice, especially my mom, because my mom felt.
my mom come outside.
Yeah, my mom felt horrible, but he was great.
Yeah.
And,
Well, this is on record. I'll make that clip and send it to
and
you.
I did post it on Facebook,
I
and I
did
did
see it.
try to tag them, but I did give a shout out to him as well.
I did
because-
see it. I did see it. I did.
Yeah.
I think we passed it on to him as well.
Yeah, because it was,
Yep.
So,
you know.
One final thing, do me a favor, email me, so I have your
Okay.
contact information, and then when we have the special meeting, I'll advise you as to when it is, so you know when we approve it, and then shortly thereafter, the sign will go up.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. That is so great. I'm so happy now. Thank you so much. I didn't mean to come in and, I know, I said to you, you probably don't have that many people that come to all your meetings.
Can I
but-
talk to Mike? I'm Robin Delamater, I'm the babysitter. Now she's gotta give me ice cream.
I did. So then I'm all set, so.
You're all set.
Now, when I know it's gonna be approved, will I get something? Because we haven't
Joe
got
said,
anything.
Yeah.
Joe said he'd call you.
Yeah,
but-
you'll email me, I'll make sure you're in contact with, you and I will be in contact together. I'll let you know when the meeting's gonna be. As soon
Okay,
as it's approved, a couple of days after that, we'll do the installation.
perfect.
And you're on,
He's gonna be happy.
do you get my emails?
Yes, I do,
Yeah,
I do. I'm
just-
subscribed, we're friends on Facebook
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah, just
I voted for you.
That's off the record.
off the record.
I'm off the record, sorry.
Thank you. All right, no, you're all set.
Okay,
All right,
perfect, thank
okay.
you, I appreciate it.
Sorry we couldn't do it tonight, but,
No, that's okay, as long as I know, I don't have to keep bugging them
yeah,
anymore.
no, you don't have to.
Thanks for bringing her down here, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cuffs intact, so that's good. but-
Yeah.
All right, the,
Would we be able to do all three of these ordinances at that special meeting? I mean, because it would be very
If
quick.
Dawsey's
right?
there, then you got all three.
yeah, you can
Okay.
finish them up.
Okay. No, that would be good.
All right, we'll close the public comment period, and if there's no other further business, unless you want to get into it, you know, I say, then we'll,
I'll make a
Motion
motion
to adjourn.
to adjourn the meeting.
unless the meeting is changed, or no, it won't be changed, August 17th is the,
That's the next meeting, yeah.
you also had a question about that, didn't you? Because that's.
Oh, yes, that's another Thursday. Is it, I mean, is it possible to change it to like a Wednesday so that we can go to the concert?
Fine.
I mean,
It's- We say first and third in the charter.
oh, right.
Yeah, and it
So-
is mentioned in the charter, so,
I could make it the following week.
I was
what the charter does do though is does allow you to set the time of the meeting, so if you wanted to make it earlier, you
That would
could
be-
definitely do that.
You just need the time to do it.
Yeah, well, why don't we set the time for 5 o'clock?
For that meeting?
For that meeting.
Okay, well, I'm actually not gonna be here.
Well, all right,
I
so
was
that
trying to
would
work,
be-
but don't, that's okay.
That would have been a problem anyway, because if we were gonna wait on the ordinances and you weren't gonna be here, we wouldn't be able to vote on it.
Yes, we could.
No,
What?
we
No,
couldn't.
that's why I
You
said.
only- You only need,
Yeah, I
you only
did
need
ask that.
three the very first time.
Oh, okay, I
Right.
got you.
Yeah, that's why I was very
Wasn't here?
concerned about that.
What's that?
Even though Dorsey wasn't here?
Yes.
Right, so
It's just a
now,
matter of two.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just a matter of
so
two.
next time, if Bart wasn't here, but Doz was here, then we'd be okay. But you're gonna have a special meeting in the meantime anyway.
Yeah, we're
Yes,
gonna take
that
care
would
of
be
it.
great.
We'll take care of it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Then what we'll do
That was
is,
hysterical, Bart.
we'll
No.
have it for 5 o'clock. Okay, a motion was made, and seconded to adjourn. Call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn,
Favor?
Mayor Patricek,
In favor.
2 hours, 2 minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck with those minutes. That's
Starting now.
Whatever day this special meeting is, I'm busy.